Hi, my name is Ian O'Dowd, and I'm a PhD student studying social psychology in the Department of Psychology at the U. And today I'll be presenting my research related to the effects of the derogatory and the appropriative use of epithets on bystander perceptions of stigmatizers, targets, and their motives. And just quickly as a trigger warning, this does contain some slurs that are used against LGBTQ people and specifically gay men in general. My research focuses on verbal stigmatization and appropriation in the LGBTQ population, specifically gay men. And in recent history, anybody familiar with the LGBTQ population knows that they have historically and continue to be stigmatized. And this includes verbal stigmatization. An example of this is the use of the word queer, which was used derogatorily during and prior to the 1980s. And ultimately, targets coped with the use of the word queer by appropriating it. And what that means is that it was a derogatory term and eventually became appropriated and accepted. And now it's a label that's used to celebrate instead of derogate. And so our research questions looking at this, we're looking at bystanders. So do bystanders perceive that the users of these slurs do so to achieve certain functions? And then what do bystanders think about those who use the epithets derogatorily, so negatively towards other people, or appropriatively, so who use words like queer self-referentially? So my research specifically, we know why people use epithets against and amongst themselves. But our focus is going to be, or it was, on those who observe people using those epithets derogatorily or appropriatively. Specifically, we looked at a slur that is known to be derogatory, and this is the word fag, which is used against gay men, but is also sometimes used among gay men. So in order to look at this and answer these questions, we used a 2x2 between participant design in which we manipulated the use of the term by creating fake conversations. So it was either straight men using the word derogatorily or gay men using the word fag appropriately. We also looked at participant sexual orientation. So if a heterosexual person versus a non-heterosexual person hears the word, what do they think? To do this, we recruited 973 participants. They were all adults and they all identified as male. Half identified as heterosexual and half identified with the label gay. And so this is whether they identified as bisexual, homosexual, queer, as long as they identified with the gay label. To create this manipulation, we created two transcripts. And in one transcript, basically everything between the two transcripts were the same, but in one we changed things to make it seem like they were using it self-referentially, and in others we changed it to look like it was being used derogatorily. What we found was that participants, regardless of sexual orientation, believed that the word fag was an offensive epithet. We also saw that participants differentiated between the appropriative use of the word fag from the derogatory use. So they knew that there was a difference between the use of the two. Participants, especially non-heterosexual, were more sensitive to the derogatory use of the word fag. And on average, participants didn't find the appropriative use as very offensive at all. They also found it likely that speakers, both gay and straight, were using the word fag to achieve certain motives, so power augmentation and ego protective. Essentially, what this means is that we validated that many of the possible functions of appropriation and derogation are detected by bystanders, so not even those who use it, but people watching. We found that non-heterosexual participants tended to be more sensitive to the use of the derogatory use of epithets, and that power differentials in general, so between gay and straight people, for example, have social cognitive consequences. And so future directions, now that we know what bystanders assume when they hear certain slurs, what do the users of the words use it for? Are the assumptions of motives by bystanders the same as what users of the word self-report? And then not every in-group member would use derogatory or appropriative slurs. Some people don't use slurs. What motives do non-users of the word ascribe to members of their in-group who do use it? And also with this, because slurs are used ubiquitously, we can look at people within and outside the LGBT communities. So whether it's trans people or Black people or anybody who's verbally stigmatized, we can look in that direction. So thank you for this very quick flash talk, or for listening to this. If you do have any questions for me, you can find my contact info here. Again, my name is Ian O'Dowd. I'm a PhD student studying social psych, and you can reach me via email or connect with me on LinkedIn. And thank you so much.